Interesting the way this is panning out now. We can't trust our radar right now. I'll put that right out there. I'll show it to you anyway, but I want to show you first some verification of why that is. Here outside of Reading, this is snow on the playground. If you got to look closely, but there's snow on the top of the pavilion here outside Whitfield Elementary School. And this is one of many reports that are coming in. And thank you to you folks on Twitter and other social media that are letting us know what you're seeing, because again, sometimes you can't go by what's sitting in front of you with the radar. It's 28 degrees here, and we are seeing a lot of snow move in, but not on the radar. I just got a report on Twitter from Mike, who said that he saw snow traveling between Ridley Township and Trainer. That's just sort of like a perpendicular cross section below the Blue Route. That's in Delco. There's nothing showing up. So the point is this: even though the radar looks like this, you can't go by it. We are starting to see light snow move in already, much further east than what's being represented here. But regardless, it still appears as though the bulk of accumulation will take place later on today and into early tomorrow morning. Storm scan is, again, active, but let's not trust it right now. I do trust, however, the way this particular model run, this is our RPM model, is interpreting snowfall totaling. We're generally thinking 1 to 3 inches, but upwards of 2 pertaining to the model, at least in the city, and then higher totals, almost doubling that easily as you go further to the north and west, where it is already snowing. Looking at the 7-day, though, again, timing is a little up in the air right now, frankly, because you can't trust the radar as things are moving in, but expect that this will be with us through tomorrow morning. Then it gets out of here. Set your alarm a little early tomorrow morning, and then a night.
From the Eyewitness News Weather Center, this is a CBS3 Storm Watch update.
Hey there, everyone. We have been dealt already a light little batch of snow. I'm going to take you back in time first and foremost in one of our live neighborhood network cameras back a handful of hours to before the sun came up. And at this point, this is about 6-7 hours ago, there was nothing on the ground. I'll put things into motion. The light of day starts to pop. The cars go through and you start to see the snow. Look at that. You see it really filling up on the pavement, on the top of the pavilions. This was a nice little burst that came in, and this is just the first batch of another that will come in later on tonight and help add to these totals already. At least here in Berks County, you ended up with some decent accumulation already, but there is more to come, and there's certainly more to come for Philadelphia as well. When we look at storm scan just in the last couple of hours, it was stealthy this morning, some of that snow. We managed to see some flurries as far east as even here at our own broadcast center, but it didn't show up on the radar. It was just such light precipitation. It barely stuck and barely accumulated in most spots, but it was enough that it did leave a very thin little layer of very light snow on some grass, and certainly on pavement, and definitely on our cars as well. All of this did in fact verify, however, and it's left behind again, as I just showed you, some light snow in Berks and Lancaster counties, even up to the Lehigh Valley and Poconos. But this is sort of receding at this point. It's going to pick up again with the sluggish front that continues to track east. It's a broad system. It extends all the way down into the Lone Star State, all the way up to New England, and we've got widespread advisories and storm warnings that are in place because of it. We will sit in a winter weather advisory here locally. We'll get to that in a second, but notice how far south it extends, even off the map. But winter storm warnings are posted even down into Texas because of this system. Now, locally, it's more of a nuisance storm, frankly, for Philadelphia than anything. And it's all just because this front is very sluggish, but it is going to be bringing with it enough cold air that we end up with some snow late tonight and into tomorrow morning. So the bulk of the accumulation actually happens tomorrow morning in Philly. We've already seen some north and west, obviously, and there's another round that comes in. And the general gist is this, that you're going to end up with the sweet spot of snow north and west, but the greatest impacts when it comes to travel for most of us is actually tomorrow morning. So let's talk about the winter weather advisory locally. Again, this is until 6 a.m. tomorrow. It is going into effect throughout the day from northwest to southeast. So for some of you, it's not actually in effect yet, but it will be, and then it lasts until 6 a.m. tomorrow morning. Notice Philly is not included. This is, again, more of a nuisance kind of a snow system for us in the city than anything, and that's a story up and down I-95. Further southeast you go, it's more of a coating to 1 inch if you're lucky, and it's a 1 to 3 inch swath then in this light shaded blue area. Notice that the darker shade of blue, that matches up really well with the winter weather advisory that we just showed you, but you could see up to 6 inches, so it's understandable that they're going to put an advisory up for that kind of a total. Looking at the 7-day, though, once we get past tomorrow morning, especially mid to late morning, this is all getting out of here. We'll have some cleanup to do, but there is a nice warming trend that takes place. Take a look at what happens. We are not only in the sunshine Friday and into Saturday, but warming up nicely, flirting with or even hitting 50 both weekend days. Nice tailgate weather for the Eagles, certainly, but we'll keep that theme going even into Monday, though by that point, there may be some rain showers.
This has been a CBS3 Storm Watch update.
And we're going to start things off by going outside, take you on a little tour here around a handful of cameras. This is actually a shot from Place One Apartments as you overlook Mid-County and the interchange there to the highways. And things are looking pretty quiet right now. We did actually see a little bit of very light snow move in around this region. Didn't have a chance to stick or accumulate necessarily, but this is one spot that will certainly be impacted by the snow tomorrow. All of us will be. It's just you see more in some places rather than others. So let's get next to our Pocono camera where folks are making the most of this. It is still snowing. If you look close, you can see over at least the darkened trees here. Some of the flakes still flying with lots of people hitting the slopes here into the afternoon with some fresh powder. But I have to say the snowfall totals so far are not all that impressive. They'll get more impressive with time. But that first little round that came through, places like Hamburg, this is in Berks County, had a ½ inch. And even at PHL Airport, we ended up with just a trace, but again, not much that, at least initially, that will start to total up a little bit later on tonight and into early tomorrow especially. Here's the latest a couple of hours loop. We're actually looking at back at 6 hours past on this radar. So take a look. You're going to see this edge lead in as far east as parts of Chester, Montgomery, and Bucks County, right? That's the furthest east it gets, and that was early this morning. But it was actually snowing and leaving behind a dusting in Newcastle County, Delco, parts of Philadelphia County. So it was actually falling and not showing up on the radar. It was very light precipitation. The cloud layer was very, very thin. It didn't have a lot of moisture with it. So sometimes that happens where things are falling from the sky and the radar is actually not picking up on them. But as we've been saying, this is a system that's strung way out all the way back to the Lone Star State, in fact, where there's some ice and some snow falling right now. So the winter alerts are very numerous. They extend all the way from Maine straight back into Texas, whether it's a winter storm warning or a winter weather advisory like we have. There's millions of people that are impacted by this one frontal boundary. Here's what it currently feels like. 38 degrees at the airport, feeling like 42, very close to where the actual air temperature is, right? Well, let me show you the cold that's coming in the wake of the front. Can you tell where the frontal boundary has crossed through already? It is feeling like 3 degrees currently in Nashville by comparison, and it actually feels colder in Birmingham than it does here. So that tells you something. It is a very, very stark contrast in the wake of the front. We get in on some of that cold ourselves. But let's walk you through this. So here's the actual pattern. Had a little bit of snow early on, but here comes the frontal boundary. This is late tonight and then into tomorrow morning that we see the bulk of this come through. It's not that impressive when it comes to snowfall totals in the city, but you could end up with a ½ foot in the northwest corner of our area here. And we'll get to the snow map in a minute. The greatest impacts from this are definitely going to happen tomorrow morning, simply because the timing is not great. And even though it's not a major impact with the snowfall totals, with the timing that's coming in the morning, of course, a lot of us are trying to hit the road and just get out the door, and that is going to hinder you. But the highest amounts will go to the north and west. So here it is, our exclusive eyewitness weather snowfall map. You get a little gypped if you're hoping for a lot of snow down near the shore points, only a coating to an inch there. A general 1 to 3 will fall along I-95 in the immediate vicinity, but here's the sweet spot, 3 to 6 inches along that northwest half. That's where you do have the winter weather advisories posted, and you've already had some accumulation from earlier on. Looking forward, though, I promised you some warming trend, didn't I? Take a look at this. By Friday, we're back to where we should be, low 40s, but in the sunshine. That sun will continue to shine actually through the weekend. If you're like me and you have yet to take down your Christmas decorations, this could actually be a really good weekend to do that. And then, of course, the huge game at the Link on Sunday looks very mild. I'm not sure if that's a good thing or a bad thing.